Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad to have you back here. Now, as you can see, we've got a different setup today. If you follow me on Instagram, I put a poll up there on my stories and I wanted to ask you guys, what do you prefer? A fabric backdrop or a decor backdrop? And you guys have voted for the decor backdrop. So I thought I set this really cute little thing going on behind me, but enough of that because today we are going to do a foundation first impressions and wear test of the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Full Coverage Foundation. Now, this is what it looks like right here. It comes in a really like tall container here. This packaging is very interesting. It actually looks super similar to their concealer, which I also did a review on earlier this year. If you want to go check that out, feel free to do that. It's up on my channel. Now let's take a look at this right here. It does contain 0.8 fluid ounces. So you don't get your standard 1 fluid ounce, you just get 0.8 fluid ounces, which is very interesting. It just makes me think that there's a lot more like fluff going on in the packaging because it does feel rather heavy. Now, when you take it out here, it's got a doe foot applicator. This is really interesting. So depending on your personal preference, you might like it, you might not like it. Well, I don't know. The shade that I got here is F13. Now, I did go and order this from the Makeup Revolution website, which I would not recommend to you guys because the shipping was insane. Okay, I ordered it September 6th and I only received it maybe about a week ago, probably less than a week to be honest. So it took over a month for it to arrive. I know it's arriving from the UK when you order from their website, but still, over a month, that's ridiculous. So I would definitely suggest if you're in the States or Canada to order it from Ulta. First, I'm gonna go ahead and add primer. I'm gonna be using the Huda Beauty Matte Perfection Primer. I'm gonna be applying this all over my face because you know what? I'm looking quite dewy today and I just like need that extra matte protection. For my smile lines, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Clarins Instant Smooth Perfecting Touch. You guys know I use this in my daily foundation routine because it really does help keep the makeup from separating along your smile lines. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this with a doe foot applicator and use a foundation brush. This one right here is the Morphe M439. Yes, M439. I'm just going to apply a couple dabs and we're going to see what the coverage is like, you know, because I'm really hoping that it has really true full coverage. The color is, she's not my color. She's not my color at all. But we're gonna make it work, okay? Okay, so other than the fact that I look casket ready right now, no, this is not a Halloween tutorial, girl. I actually really like the formula upon the initial application because it just feels matte. My skin is pretty smooth right now, but it does not seem to emphasize any texture because sometimes I have texture right up here on my forehead and also around my nose. I have a tiny little pimple there and you almost can't even see it compared to before the foundation. So that's pretty nice. It blended out really easy. Like with the brush, it didn't take me that long. I went over with a Real Technique sponge, really nice and simple, and there's like no shine. I love that. The only thing is I just wish that the color was just the correct color, but let's go ahead, keep it moving. I'm gonna use the Laura Mercier concealer. This is the shade N9 in their Flawless Fusion Ultra Long Wear Concealer. And I'm gonna apply that to all the usual areas. Y'all know the drill. And I'm also going to set that with my Hourglass. This is the Veil Translucent Setting Powder just to keep everything locked in. This is a super finely milled powder, so it's super lightweight. It's not going to like accentuate any fine lines or anything. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup just so I can keep this video on the shorter side. And then I'm going to come back, tell you guys some of the highlights of this. And also I'm going to be doing a wear test, so don't go away because I have to show you guys how this lasts throughout the day, and I'm thinking we'll do about 6-hour wear test. So makeup is all done. Now look, I managed to finesse this. So the actual foundation doesn't look that bad now compared to, for example, look at my chest, right? I mean, it's still a little bit lighter, but it's not like crazy. Like I could go out in public like this, it's fine. So basically, I mean, I think it looks pretty nice in person and on camera. Now, what I do want to touch on are some of the claims that they say. They do say this is supposed to be long lasting and it's supposed to have a demi matte finish. I definitely think this is like, it's matte. Let me see if it transfers. Doesn't transfer. There's nothing on my hands, which I love. It doesn't exactly say this is transfer proof, but let's just say when you go in to hug somebody, it's not just gonna be like rubbing off on their face or their shirt or something, you know what I mean? Which I really like. So yeah, I mean, that looks pretty good. And there's no prints on my face too, so I love that. Now it does say that it promises not to cling to dry patches or settle into fine lines. I don't have dry skin. I don't really have any dry patches going on right now, but I will say I do have very like, I mean, not prominent, but you know, they're there. I have laugh lines and it's already started to kind of settle in. I don't know if you guys can see it. It probably doesn't look that bad on camera, but I already had to go in and blend it out on top of my initial application because it was starting to separate and it looks not so great. I did put setting powder over it. I put my Hourglass Veil translucent setting powder over it. So I don't know. I mean, usually when it starts to separate, like right after I put it on, I know that it's going to require touching up throughout the day. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it and we'll see what happens. Pretty satisfied with the way everything is looking right now. So I'm going to come back in a few hours and update you guys on how this is lasting. Hey, so it's been about 2 hours. So I just want to come and check in with you guys. As you can see, I'm in obviously direct sunlight and it looks really nice. I do want to point out, you guys see how it's kind of breaking apart on my smile lines a little bit. I mean, that's fine. If you have that problem and you don't mind dealing with it and you are okay with touching up, then that's cool. I don't really like that about this, but I do have to say the other parts of my face, it looks really, really nice. Like my makeup looks really good. I am looking a little bit dewy, so I'm curious to see how this is gonna last in another, you know, 4 hours. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. So far, so good. All right, so your girl is back for the final check-in and I'm ready to tell you guys my thoughts. So first things first about good old Conceal and Define foundation. You know, the color when it initially went on was hella light. I was like, oh snap, I picked the wrong color. It looks awful. But what I actually think happened is it does oxidize to be slightly darker. Now, what I am gonna say here is, you know, it says demi matte finish, and when it went on, it was super matte, like super matte, almost drying. And then I noticed I started to get dewy about 2 hours in, as you guys saw in that check-in. It's been about 6 hours and this is how dewy I am. I will say if you have super oily skin, I don't know how much you'll love this one. You're just gonna have to test it out because it might not be right for you. You might get really oily like within the first couple hours. This is manageable. All I would need to do is do like a small touch up and I think I'd be fine. Again, the creasing is there. It's not horrible, but it is apparent. So just wanna let you know if that's a problem you have, you're gonna have to watch out for that. And that might make you wanna steer away from this one, depending on your personal preferences. I will say, since this is a $12 foundation, you know, you get what you pay for sometimes. I do think that for this price, there's definitely a lot better on the market, especially considering this is like a drugstore affordable type of foundation. I just think, you know, I can think of like some Maybelline foundations that are, you know, I think better than this one. As for coverage, I don't believe that it is truly a full coverage foundation. I think it's more of a medium coverage and it's a little bit buildable. You can build it up in certain areas, but it's not full coverage straight off the bat, you know? I will also say that you can see just a little bit of texture right here now that the foundation has had some wear time in there. And I, you know, although I take really good care of my skin. I usually have my texture under control, so I can't imagine someone else who has a lot more texture on their face. It might not be the most flattering foundation for you to wear. That being said, I'm just gonna have to tell you guys, you know, I don't love this foundation. I don't hate it. It's just okay. It's like a meh. I'm not really impressed by it. It's okay, you know? I really do think that they do need to work on their shade range. I know that they had just launched, you know, their first, what was it? Maybe like 15 shades or under 15 shades or something. And I went to look on their website to see if I could find a darker color that had my undertone. And all the darker colors were basically red undertones or cool undertones. So, you know, nothing that had that golden-y that was still a little bit more deeper for me. So I was really disappointed in that. I really do hope that they do extend their shade range. Also, some tips for you guys. I think this foundation is best if you have normal to dry skin. Maybe if you do have oily skin and you want to make it work, try using your powder before your foundation. So in between your primer and foundation, add that powder on there. I might try that again using that technique, although I just don't want to look too dry and cakey, because I do believe this foundation does have a tendency to look cakey. I will say that. It doesn't always look this smooth and nice. I kind of had to finesse it a little bit, do some touch-ups, you know what I mean? Now, don't be shy. Check out the videos right over here. Definitely watch my Makeup Revolution concealer review and hang out with me some more. Chill. Subscribe if you're still here and you're not part of the family. Don't forget, guys, I love you and I will see you in the next video. Bye.